Welcome back. It is now quarter past the hour. A short while ago, we brought you some breaking news about sanctions against Russia, and some of that breaking news we're going to check in with our Kevin Cork, who's traveling with the president. We're getting some reaction now from the White House about a report that 35 Russian diplomats could be getting kicked out of the United States. Kevin, what can you tell us?
Yeah, it's actually broader than that, and what we wanted to be careful about was trying this idea of removing diplomatic staff from one nation because you have to be careful. Clearly, that could have been a story in and of itself. We've heard about diplomatic harassment of American diplomats abroad, and so that in and of itself was not necessarily declarative. What we can tell you, however, is you're right. This is all part and parcel to a larger issue, also accusing the Russian government of cyber hacking. I'm going to read part of the president's statement, and it reads this way. Today, I have ordered a number of actions in response to the Russian government's aggressive harassment of U.S. officials and cyber operations aimed at the U.S. election. These actions follow repeated private and public warnings that we have issued to the Russian government and are a necessary and appropriate response to efforts to harm U.S. interests in violation of established international norms of behavior. And it goes on to say, and it's fairly lengthy, and I won't read it all to you, but I can tell you this. It talks at great length about some of the ideas that the Russians, at the very highest level of Russian government, were behind the cyber attacks that impacted the U.S. election in 2016. And as Reuters has been reported, and as our Lucas Tomlinson and others, Matt Dean and our staff have been confirming, that means a number of Russian diplomats will be moving on from American facilities, or facilities based here in America, including one in New York and one in Maryland, we are told, that will be shuttered. We'll keep following this story for you, Heather, as I continue to hear from senior administration officials. I'll pass it along to you, but for now, back to you.
All right, Kevin, do we know what kind of facilities these are? You mentioned ones in New York and Maryland. Are these some of the like weekend camps that they sometimes have, or are these sort of consulate-type buildings?
Yeah, you're right on the money. These annexes are typically not utilized on a daily basis, but they certainly can be. When you talk about camps, in case people have not seen these, or they maybe have driven by and didn't know exactly what they were, often these encampments are for high-level dignitaries who come into town. It's not the same as a consulate per se, but these are major facilities, and it sends a very strong and declarative message to the Russian government that cyber attacks, especially those that impact our infrastructure, in this case the American election, won't be tolerated.
Yeah, and Kevin, I understand that it may be premature to ask this question, but I'll ask you anyway since we do have you. The people who are intended to be kicked out, do we know if they had any involvement with this hacking?
Great question. I've been in constant consultation with senior administration officials at the very highest level. And while they're very cautious not to say that is the case, I can tell you just based on conversations I've had, it is not a surprise if they do feel that way, although I've yet to confirm that. Heather?
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, Kevin Cork, we'll check in with you as news warrants. Thanks for that great reporting that broke.